Hey, it's Clay. How's everybody doing today? And I'm playing some more Battlefield 3 and got the LSAT out, one of the new close quarters expansions, light machine guns that you get after completing some. I think this one was the second unlock. The L86 was first, and this one is actually kind of tough. It was 10 knives and 10 C4 kills. So you know, I mean, depending on your playstyle, that could be a little bit more difficult. But overall, you know, this gun was kind of a disappointment. I don't know. I guess in general, thinking about the LMGs and the support class as a whole in Battlefield 3, I just think that the way that it works as a whole is just kind of a joke, and I think that this class is kind of obnoxious. I mean, the recon kit and the support kit, I think, are definitely the weakest in comparison to the engineer and the assault. I mean, the assault clearly has the best weapons. I mean, the M16, hands down, best gun in the game at almost any range. I mean, really only the snipers are better long range, and really only like the AEK or maybe some of the MP7 or something like that are better up close, or maybe the shotguns. But I mean, these LMGs, there's really no place where you would say, oh, you know what, I really wish I had an LMG right now. I mean, so, I mean, what I'm doing right here is pretty much the only way that I really kind of find that the LMGs have any use is when you're trying to really lock down a lane of traffic. I mean, Metro is a good example of this because the lanes are pretty forced. So you have these long lines of sight where you know guys are going to be coming, and you can just bipod it up, sit there stationary, and wait for somebody to run into your crosshairs and then hold the trigger. I mean, very much like what that guy was doing right there. You know, and I don't know, I think as a whole that, I wonder and I question the game balance there. And, you know, because I played some Bad Company 2 before Battlefield 3, and in Bad Company 2 they actually had it switched where the medic gear was actually with the light machine guns and the ammo gear was with the assault rifles. So, you know, if you're going to play with a gun, a really OP gun like the M16, you would have to have the ammo, and you wouldn't have the medic paddles or the health pack. But if you wanted to have those, you would have to play with the light machine guns. And just to be totally frank, I think that that was a much better balance model. I've heard some people claim that in terms of realism, you know, the guys who have the big light machine guns are going to be the ones who are going to be carrying around all the ammo. Well, that may be true, but I don't necessarily think that the medics are going to be the ones out there with M16s with the dominant guns. A nice triple there, but I don't necessarily think that realism is valid. I don't think that that is an important concern. I mean, I do realize that you want to have realism to some extent. It makes the game a little bit more engaging. It makes you kind of feel like you're actually in a fight. You're actually in the gunfight yourself. But as a whole, I just don't necessarily think that that is... I mean, when you're talking about game balance and class balance, I don't think that that should be something that enters into the discussion as much as... I mean, because clearly right now the assault kit is just so far and away the best that it doesn't even make sense to use anything else. So I definitely think the light machine guns are pretty crappy. You know, and I've heard the same thing about the recon kit, and a lot of times what people say is, well, why don't you just buff the gadgets? Why don't you give the recon or the support kit a better gadget? And just to be totally honest, I don't think that will work. I don't think that that will work, because if you give the assault kit something as essential as an assault rifle and the medic paddles, I mean, those two things in themselves are probably arguably the best mechanics in the game. And then with the engineer kit, I almost burned myself to death here. But with the engineer kit, those guns are really strong. I mean, a lot of them are almost clones of the assault rifles, like the M4 and the M16. They just don't do quite as well at longer ranges. But then they've got the anti-tank, the anti-air, so that makes them extremely relevant on big conquest maps. So, you know, and then you've got these other two kits that just kind of sit somewhere in the middle and don't really do anything all that well. You know, and look at what I'm doing right here. I'm just laying on my belly. Literally, all I'm doing is holding the left mouse button. And I think I got 3 or 4 kills and totally locked down this lane of traffic. And to be honest, I don't necessarily... Part of me feels like that's not really a game mechanic that should be rewarded, or that should be... Like, this should not be what one of the classes is all about, if you understand what I'm saying. Because number one, this slows the game down. Because obviously I'm just going to be sitting on my belly. I'm not going to be moving. I'm not going to be agile. And I do realize that I'm more defensive. I'm a little bit more putting up a stronghold. But I kind of feel like things you should be rewarded are players who are active, players who are moving around, playing the objective, playing actively, and to reward a class for being so stagnant and so, I don't know, I just don't necessarily agree with DICE that this is something that should be rewarded and something that should be encouraged, and just like an essential part of the game that needs to be there. I always like to see, people be rewarded for playing actively, for playing the objective, for moving, and I just don't necessarily think that, and I think that's one of the main reasons why the support kit and the recon kit do so horribly, is because in a lot of ways they're designed to play stagnant. They're designed to play slowly, defensively, sitting around, not moving a whole lot. I mean, how many times have you seen a recon guy sitting in the spawn with a 12x M98B going 4-2? Or how many times have you seen a support guy sitting on his belly in the spawn, got the bipod out, and he's going, 4-1? I don't necessarily think that is a good mechanic, and I think that people use it because it's there and it's easy. It's really noob friendly. Whereas I would much rather see skill things, be rewarded, skill actions, anytime that people do skillful things. But overall, the LMGs are not my favorite. I'm not going to make any bones about it. I don't know. It's probably my least played class, just because I think, as a whole, they pretty much suck, and there's no way that I would rather... I mean, I would take an AN94 if I'm going to play this style over this any day. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about the way that the Assault Kit fits, if you disagree with... Or, I'm sorry, the way that the Support Kit fits in with Battlefield 3. If you disagree with me, if you think that they are a needed class, I'd love to know. So let me know. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you soon.